Key points.
1. Positive moments in India-Pakistan relations. Sportsmanship as a unifier. Javelin throwers from both nations showed mutual respect at the Olympics. Historic cricket events. Wasim Akram's team received a standing ovation in Chennai. Sourav Ganguly's team won hearts in Lahore during a pivotal match. These moments demonstrate that peaceful interaction is achievable and cherished. 2. Electoral exploitation of anti-Pakistan sentiments. Maharashtra elections. Devendra Fadnavis, Maharashtra's deputy CM, employed incendiary rhetoric, suggesting planting the Indian flag in Pakistan to rally nationalist sentiments. The BJP has historically used communal and anti-Pakistan dog whistles during election campaigns to consolidate votes. Communal politics in play. Shiv Sena's split. Uddhav Thackeray's faction moved towards secularism, aligning with minorities and secular parties like Congress and the NCP. Eknath Shinde's BJP-backed faction relies on communal narratives to secure votes. The BJP has leveraged alliances and internal divisions, allegedly with support from business tycoon Gautam Adani, to maintain power. 3. Broader implications of divisive politics. Undermining diplomatic channels. Anti-Pakistan rhetoric limits the scope for dialogue and peaceful resolutions. Cultural exchanges, such as the release of Pakistani films and music, are hindered by political hostility. Role of sports diplomacy. The ICC Champions Trophy offers a potential avenue for thawing relations if India agrees to play in Pakistan. Speculation about India's foreign minister suggesting a softening stance during his recent visit to Islamabad fuels optimism. 4. Maharashtra's significance in Indian politics. High electoral stakes. Maharashtra, with 48 parliamentary seats, is critical to BJP's national dominance. The opposition, led by Uddhav Thackeray, challenges BJP's grip with a secular coalition. Communal tactics for votes. The BJP employs divisive strategies, such as supporting Raj Thackeray's faction to fracture Uddhav's voter base. Conclusion. The article underscores the stark contrast between fleeting moments of camaraderie in sports and culture and the persistent hostility fueled by political agendas. It calls for leveraging shared cultural and sportsmanship values to foster peace. With elections dictating political rhetoric, the potential for India-Pakistan reconciliation remains hostage to domestic political dynamics. However, sports diplomacy, as hinted in the ICC Champions Trophy context, could be a hopeful starting point for rebuilding trust and enabling mutual respect between the two nations. Crux. The article critiques the ongoing hostility and divisive rhetoric in India-Pakistan relations, particularly as exploited by Indian politicians for electoral gains. Highlighting moments of sportsmanship and shared cultural history, it argues that peaceful coexistence is not only possible but preferable. The piece focuses on Maharashtra's high-stakes elections, where communal rhetoric, especially targeting Pakistan, is used to rally voters, while subtly alluding to the potential for cricket diplomacy and cultural exchanges to bridge the divide. Key points. 1. Clothing as a political statement. Historical precedents. Gandhi wore homespun clothes to symbolize simplicity and self-reliance. Jinnah transitioned to sherwanis and karakuli hats as a mark of cultural identity while retaining his Western suits. International comparisons. Women in politics often face scrutiny for their clothing, from Kamala Harris to Angela Merkel. 2. Clothing reflects party ideology. PPP, Pakistan People's Party, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto adopted the shalwar kameez to align with his party's populist image, abandoning his earlier Western suits. Benazir Bhutto followed a similar approach with practical, less ornate clothing choices to project relatability as a public leader. Examples. Opting for simple glass bangles at her wedding to emphasize a humble, Awami connection. PTI, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Imran Khan transitioned from black tie events and Western suits to traditional shalwar kameez with a tasbih, projecting himself as a leader of the people. PTI's Awami culture extends to its members, with strict expectations for appearances, even at rallies, e.g., disapproval of jeans and shirts. PMLN, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz Sharif and Maryam Nawaz tend to project a more affluent image with expensive scarves, watches, and branded clothing. Shehbaz Sharif briefly adopted a more Awami image with safari suits as CM but abandoned it as PM. The party's lack of populist imagery reflects its roots as a patronage-based, elite party. 3. Changing political optics in modern times. Social media and the middle class. Heightened scrutiny of political leaders' appearances is driven by the urban middle class and social media culture. Politicians are now pressured to project an image of relatability rather than exclusivity. Contrast in approaches. PPP and PTI embrace populist optics, while PMLN maintains a distinct, elite image, which may need adjustment in the evolving political climate. Conclusion. The article emphasizes that clothing is not a mere personal choice but a strategic tool in politics, particularly in Pakistan. As the political landscape evolves with the rise of the middle class and the influence of social media, all parties face increasing pressure to adapt their visual branding. Whether through simplicity or opulence, sartorial decisions remain a key element of political messaging and public perception. Key points. 1. Corporate performance evaluation practices. Ambition and consistency. Employees must demonstrate ambition and the ability to exceed expectations for promotions. Mediocrity and passivity, such as blindly agreeing with superiors, are discouraged. Meritocracy over seniority. Promotions are based on consistent high performance, not tenure. Seniority is irrelevant unless paired with measurable achievements. Annual performance reviews. Employees are evaluated against specific, measurable goals set at the beginning of the year. Supervisors conduct periodic reviews to prevent surprises during final evaluations. Internal promotions preferred. Vacancies are often filled internally to ensure alignment with the organization's culture and reduce disruptions. 2. Weaknesses in government evaluation systems. Seniority-based promotions. Performance is largely ignored, and any deviation from seniority creates resistance. Annual confidential reports, ACRs. ACRs lack transparency as employees rarely receive feedback unless there are negative remarks. Practices like employees submitting pre-filled ACRs make the system ineffective and demotivating. 3. Traits of effective promotion practices. Progressive companies' criteria, according to Leapsome, curiosity. Engaged employees who ask questions signal trust and involvement. Leadership skills. Candidates for management must demonstrate people management and leadership capabilities. Responsibility readiness. Promotion candidates should embrace challenges and seek support when needed. Performance over time. Achievements relative to tenure are critical. Constructive feedback. Regular, genuine feedback builds trust and inspires growth. 4. Importance of effective promotions. Employee retention. A fair promotion system motivates employees and reduces turnover. Cost efficiency. Retaining skilled employees cuts recruitment and training costs. Boosting morale. Well-deserved promotions foster trust and positivity within teams. Conclusion. The article advocates for transparent, performance-based promotion systems as a cornerstone for organizational success. Companies that adopt meritocratic practices not only retain top talent, but also enhance team morale. Conversely, flawed systems, like those prevalent in government departments, result in inefficiency, disengagement, and a lack of accountability. Crux. The article emphasizes the importance of a robust and transparent performance evaluation system for promotions, contrasting the corporate world's merit-based approach with the government sector's seniority-driven culture. It highlights how progressive organizations focus on performance metrics, leadership skills, and feedback to retain and motivate employees, while flawed evaluation systems, like those seen in government departments, lead to disengagement and inefficiency. Key points. 1. Teachers' mental health in private schools. Lack of support for teachers. While some schools employ mental health counselors for students, few extend this support to teachers. Fear of stigma often prevents teachers from seeking help. Overburdened and undervalued. Teachers face excessive workloads, including lesson planning, administrative tasks, and grading, often extending into their personal time. Many teachers are subjected to mental harassment by students and unsupportive management. Toxic work environment. Teachers are often scapegoated for institutional failures and treated as expendable due to a surplus of teaching professionals in the job market. High levels of absenteeism and turnover in the profession reflect the systemic neglect of teachers' well-being. 2. The impact of neglecting teachers' well-being. Client mentality in education. Schools treat students as clients, prioritizing their satisfaction over teachers' authority and mental health. This fosters a culture where teachers are unable to discipline students or maintain boundaries. Burnout and stress. Constant deadlines and lack of work-life balance lead to stress, anxiety, and eventual burnout. Women teachers, often balancing multiple responsibilities, are particularly vulnerable. 3. Recommendations for improvement. Institutional support. Schools must create a congenial and supportive environment for teachers. Policies should prioritize mental health and provide avenues for counseling without stigma. Workload management. Reduce excessive workloads by streamlining administrative tasks and providing more realistic deadlines. Encourage work-life balance to prevent burnout. Empathy and motivation. Recognize teachers' contributions and provide emotional and professional support. Acknowledge their challenges, especially for those teaching out of economic necessity. 4. Benefits of prioritizing teachers' well-being. Enhanced productivity. A supportive environment boosts teacher motivation and productivity. Confident, happy teachers lead to confident, high-performing students. Retention of talent. Addressing mental health concerns reduces turnover and absenteeism, ensuring stability in the education system. Conclusion. The article calls for an overhaul in how schools treat teachers, emphasizing their mental and emotional welfare as critical to the success of the educational system. By fostering a healthy, respectful, and supportive work environment, schools can empower teachers to excel in their roles, ultimately benefiting students and society as a whole. Crux. The article highlights the mental health challenges faced by teachers in private schools due to excessive workloads, lack of support, and toxic work environments. It argues for prioritizing teachers' mental well-being to create a healthy, productive educational environment that benefits both teachers and students. Key points. 1. Election tribunals' role and failures. Purpose. Tribunals were established to adjudicate disputes over 350 contested national and provincial assembly seats. Progress. Less than 20% of the cases have been resolved after nearly a year. Delay causes. ECP's delays in forming tribunals, particularly in Punjab, due to a conflict with the Lahore High Court. Lack of hearings in several Punjab tribunals, minimal progress in Sindh and KP tribunals. In contrast, Balochistan tribunals resolved a higher percentage of cases. 2. Political and legal implications. Impact on legitimacy. The unresolved disputes cast doubt on the current government's legitimacy. Political unrest persists, with protests over the alleged theft of the electoral mandate. Government actions. The ruling coalition has used its position to pass controversial constitutional amendments and laws, consolidating its power amid the uncertainty. Failure of oversight. The Election Commission of Pakistan has shown little interest in tribunal progress despite legal deadlines lapsing. 3. Broader consequences. Erosion of democratic trust. Delays in resolving disputes weaken faith in the electoral process. The absence of free and fair elections leads to political instability and repressive governance. Governance challenges. Reliance on coercive measures to maintain order is unsustainable and undermines the political structure. 4. Recommendations. Expedite proceedings. Tribunals must act swiftly to conclude pending cases transparently. Delivering justice is critical to restoring public confidence in the electoral process. Ensure oversight. The ECP must take a more proactive role in monitoring tribunal progress and addressing delays. Rebuild political stability. Resolving election disputes will help establish legitimacy, reduce unrest, and stabilize governance. Conclusion. The failure of election tribunals to resolve disputes efficiently has deepened Pakistan's political instability. Urgent reforms and transparent action are essential to restore faith in the democratic process, stabilize governance, and prevent further erosion of the country's fragile political framework. Crux. The election tribunals have failed to resolve disputes from the controversial general elections in a timely and effective manner. Their inaction has undermined the legitimacy of the government and exacerbated political instability, further eroding trust in Pakistan's electoral process.
Key points.
1. Core issues driving the insurgency. Socioeconomic deprivation. Balochistan's rich natural resources do not benefit its people, fueling resentment and separatist sentiments. Socioeconomic injustice is a primary driver of militancy and separatism. Resource ownership. The Multi-Party Conference, MPC, in Quetta emphasized the need for Balochistan's people to have primary rights over their resources. 2. Criticism of the militarized approach. Military operations have failed to deliver long-term solutions to the insurgency. The reliance on force alone has worsened grievances rather than addressing the root causes. 3. Political apathy and missed opportunities. Mainstream parties neglect. Political elites focus on power struggles in Islamabad and Lahore, sidelining Balochistan's concerns. PMLN and PPP's absence from the MPC is seen as an unwillingness to engage with the province's issues. Need for representation. National-level engagement by political parties is essential to address Balochistan's political and socio-economic grievances. 4. Recommendations for sustainable peace. Socio-economic justice. Ensure that the revenue from Balochistan's resources benefits its citizens. Invest in education, healthcare, and infrastructure to uplift the province. Political engagement. Open dialogue with all stakeholders, including separatist groups, to address political grievances. Create a roadmap to ensure constitutional protections and equitable development for Balochistan's people. National consensus. Mobilize all political forces to collectively address the crisis. Follow up on the MPC's efforts to finalize actionable steps and build trust among the people. 5. Call to action. Solid guarantees over resources. Mere promises or temporary measures will not suffice. Robust, enforceable commitments are necessary. Political and social solutions. Prioritizing dialogue and socio-economic upliftment will be more effective in countering insurgency than continued militarization. Conclusion. Balochistan's problems are deeply rooted in socio-economic and political neglect. A sustainable resolution requires an immediate shift from a militarized approach to one centered on political dialogue, resource ownership for locals, and socio-economic justice. A united national effort is imperative to heal the wounds and ensure peace in this resource-rich, yet deprived province. Crux. Balochistan's insurgency and militancy issues cannot be resolved solely through military action. Sustainable peace requires political engagement, socio-economic justice, and ensuring that the province's resources benefit its people. A national-level effort involving all political forces is crucial for addressing Balochistan's grievances.
Key points.
1. Government's position on tax enforcement. Firm stance on compliance. The minister stated that strict enforcement is non-negotiable and critical for the nation's economic stability. This stance follows the IMF's concerns over a tax collection shortfall of 190 billion rupees in the fiscal year's first 4 months. Reliance on enforcement. The government plans to rely on the FBR's transformation plan to achieve its ambitious tax target of 13 trillion rupees. 2. Structural challenges in tax collection. Narrow tax base. Over 75% of the economy, including the services, real estate, and agriculture sectors, remains largely untaxed. Tax evasion and underreporting. Weak enforcement has historically allowed widespread tax evasion and underreporting. Exemptions and privileges. Influential groups enjoy tax exemptions worth 4 trillion rupees, further shrinking the effective tax net. 3. Limitations of enforcement-only approach. Sole reliance on enforcement, without addressing systemic flaws, risks creating resentment without achieving long-term results. Broader reforms are needed to ensure fairness and inclusivity in the tax system. 4. Recommendations for comprehensive reform. Expand tax base. Include all sectors, such as agriculture, real estate, and services, in the tax net. Enforce taxation of all incomes regardless of source. Eliminate exemptions. Reassess and remove unjustified exemptions to level the playing field. Revamp tax regime. Simplify tax laws to encourage compliance and reduce corruption. Strengthen administrative capacity for better enforcement and monitoring. Public confidence and fairness. Build trust by ensuring the tax system is equitable and funds are transparently utilized for public welfare. Conclusion. While the government's commitment to stricter enforcement is a positive step, Pakistan's tax problems are systemic and require a holistic approach. Broadening the tax base, abolishing exemptions, and ensuring fairness in the tax regime are essential to achieving sustainable growth and fiscal stability. Crux. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb emphasized the necessity of strict enforcement of tax compliance across all sectors to address Pakistan's fiscal challenges. However, while stronger enforcement is essential, meaningful tax reform, including broadening the tax base and eliminating exemptions, is required to resolve the country's deep-rooted tax issues sustainably.